Good morning, children. Uh, Today I will be taking your science subject, and the chapter is chapter 9, and this is the second chapter of the third term syllabus. And chapter 9 says about water as a resources. Now, water as a resources, it is good to know before we start the chapter. Water, we all know, it is one of the basic needs of our life. Without water, we cannot do anything. For instance, or for example, in our daily needs like cooking, bathing, washing, etc. So many. Watering the plant, cropping, or for construction, you need water. So now, it is very important to talk and discuss about it, since it is one of the main resources in our life. Resources here means that supply our needs. The importance of source that help us in our daily lives. So now, before we go deep into it, we will discuss about the main objective one by one. There are 4 or 5 objectives. In the beginning, I would like to start with the first objective. Done. Alright, as we were talking about water as a resources, we will discuss one by one what are the main objectives. So, the first one, let us start with the first objective, that is change in state. Okay, when we say change in state, there are 2 forms of changes in the nature of water. One is by heating and one is by cooling. So now let us come first. The first part, that is by heating. Okay, you see, water, when we heat, what does it happen? When we boil water, what does it produce? It produces water vapor. So by heating water, it produces evaporations or vapor. On the other hand, as I have said, cooling or cool, the same water, when it is in liquid form, if we put inside a freezer or a refrigerator, it turns into ice cube. Ice cube, when it forms an ice cube, it turns into solid. So through cooling, the same water, it turns into solid. So those are the 2 points that we can mainly focus. And let us come back to the other one. What is it? Evaporation. So what is evaporation? When the liquid water is heated, then it transforms into vapor or it transforms into gas form. So this is called evaporation. Especially during the daytime, when the sun is too bright, the surface of the water, like ocean, seas, lakes, ponds, rivers, well, etc., those water gets evaporated and it goes to the sky in the form of vapor, that is gas form. So that is one we can discuss, very simple. And another one we can say condensation. What is condensation? Okay, let me give you one example. What is condensation? When the water, let us just take an example. Say cold water inside a bottle. In a bottle, when you bring out from the freeze and put on the table, what can you see? On the surface of the bottle, there are some droplets of water. Those droplets of water symbolize the presence of gas. So that is what we can say condensation. Actually, when the water vapor exposed in the air and get cooled, that can be seen in the form of vapor, droplets, tiny droplets of water are formed. That particular process is known to be condensations. Okay, well, fine. So that is one. And now I hope you all are clear about the change in state. That means how we transform water into different form. Now, second point I would like to discuss, that is the second point or the second objective. Let us see. What is it? That is water cycle. Very important. Water cycle. Yes. Water cycle. Cycle is a kind of chain that forms again and again. So let us check out what is all about. Okay, how does water take a cycle or cycling? Now, it is always good to know. Let me just draw roughly. Let us say this is sea, ocean or lake, whatever it may be. And here let us just mention here sun. So what happened? Let me explain the entire chain of this cycle. This is in the form of water, either it is sea, ocean, lake, pond or river or well. This particular water is heated by the sun during the daytime. And what does it take place when there is extreme heat of the sun? It has evaporation. As you already know what is evaporation. When the water is heated, it transforms water into vapor or in a gas form. Then this vapor, where does it go? It goes high up in the sky and it will form tiny droplets in this particular zone of the atmosphere, and it remains here. And sometimes you can experience that it is in the form of cloud. Cloud is very visible with our naked eye from the surface of the earth. If we look up in the sky, we can experience that there are clouds formations. So these tiny drops of evaporations, when it go and accumulate together, it form clouds. So this particular transformation of or change of water into this cloud formation, it is known as condensation. Clear? Condensation. And after some time, what happened? When these tiny droplets of water turns into heavy, it forms as a cloud. Now, when it becomes too heavy, it again tries to drop on the surface of the earth, either in the form of snow or rain. Look at it, snow or rain. In the form of snow or rain, this condensation, that is the cloud, it drops back on the earth's surface. So this dropping of the cloud, either in the form of rain, rainfall or snowfall, is known as precipitation. Precipitation. So there are three cycles of change, but the main primary source here which play a great role is the sun. Due to the sun's heat, water is getting evaporated, and when this water gets evaporated, it forms in the form of cloud, which the process which we call it condensation. And this condensation, the cloud, it drop again in the form of either snow or rain. Then this processing is known as precipitation. Now the entire process, if we check the process in which water transforms in the form of evaporation, condensation and precipitation is known to be water cycle. I hope I make it clear. So this is one point. Now let us come back to the third objective. The third objective is nothing but the water, how it can be used, fit for use. Now the third objective is making water fit for use. So sometimes we knew that we get water from tap water, well, water supply, then groundwater, rainwater, or from the river. But do you think all these are clean enough? No, because sometimes it may be contaminated with germs or dirt. So we have to be very careful. So number one is that insoluble water. There are some part of water where it is mixed with some particles like sand, mud or twigs. But this cannot be solute. It cannot dissolve in the water. So this can create impurities in water. Impurities, remember impurities. When water is mixed with a foreign matter, it is called impure. So not pure, not clean enough for drinking. Secondly, soluble. There are some substances like juice or salt, sugar, whatever may be, they are soluble in water. But that can also have an impurities in the water. So we have to be very careful. Insoluble water. And the third point, it contains germs. We all know germs. Germs are some kind of living organism which we cannot see with our naked eye, but it can only be seen with the help of microscope. Yes. So these are very harmful for our health and internal organs. So for this reason, what are the steps that need to be taken, or what are the steps that we need to know? So for this, we have to be very careful how water can be used or water can be taken. So for this, there are some objective or some features how to purify water. How to purify water. Now purify means how to filter or how to take the cleanest part of water. The simplest way where even the poorest can afford is boiling. Boiling is the most cheap and common part of boiling, purifying water. Then secondly, it can also be filtered through waterworks. Waterworks are those water that are purified in a big tank or big pipe, then it is supplied again to the different households. like water supply. Yes, water works. And thirdly, water can be purified by using filter, water filter, water filter, water filter. This is very important. Water filter, every family must use it because we cannot always depend on water works. The water which comes from the supply, it is not always clean. It may contaminated with germs. So for that reason, water filter is very important. Now, let us come back again. Another one, by using chlorine tablet. Chlorine tablet. Why it is important? Because this is also a kind of purification of chlorine. It is it is a process where water can be purified with the help of chlorine tablet. In order to check from germs, diarrhea, typhoid, cholera, dysentery, all this. Yes. Now we are coming to the ending part of the objective. So I hope this portion you all are clear. Now let us come back to the fifth objective of water as resources. The fifth objective is in the form of what? Harvesting, rainwater harvesting. We all know our country is monsoon covered country, and most of the areas are covering with rainforest, and some are desert, some are semi-desert. So what is the importance of rainwater harvesting? What is it by rainwater harvesting? When the rain falls, with a hard substance, we try to save the rainwater in the form of hard substance. It may be in the form of tank, it may be in the form of check dams, or it may be in the form of small drum. So why it is necessary, or why it is important? Here, especially in the desert or semi-desert or in hilly areas, people usually do harvesting. They try to preserve water for future use. When drought period comes, or when there is scarcity of rainfall, so this rainwater harvesting, where they stop the quantity of water, may be helpful and is useful for the future use. So these are the few things that we have discussed today in chapter 9, water as a resources, and I believe this will help you for your guide and for your future knowledge. So with this, I would like to conclude and end this chapter. See you again in next chapter, next class. Thank you.